All right, welcome back again, and now we're looking at the 2014 FIFA World Cup, looking ahead of Nigeria's games, but also looking at what we've done so far. The group stages, it's come, it's gone. Nigeria has survived it, and we've moved on to the next level, which is a good thing, which we haven't done for many years, for decades as well, actually. So it is good that we are where we are now, and I guess a lot of people are very happy and celebrating it. But there are others who are saying, well, the glass is half empty. We should not be looking at the rest of it. Is it half empty or it's half full?
That's what I was saying at the beginning. The important thing is that we qualified.
Yes, we qualified. How we did it, it really doesn't matter.
It's a matter of detail.
It's a matter of detail. So we'll have this conversation with sports analysts across the board with diverse opinion and thoughts about how this has gone. So I will start from my immediate right, and that's the chairman, Delta State Sports Commission, Amaji Pinnick. Good morning and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank
you
for having me.
Did you enjoy the match in Brazil, Nigeria, Argentina?
It was a good game. Initially, it was colorless.
Okay, we'll talk about it. You don't sink your teeth into it just yet. Let me introduce the others. So, Rotimi Akindele, sports analyst. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good to be here.
And then, of course, we've got Nnamdi Obarana, who's a sports analyst as well.
Good morning.
To have you here. Okay, I'll give you the first shot. Tell us your thought about the game, Nigeria versus Argentina, because that's the preparation for what we should see when it comes to Nigeria-France, isn't it?
Yeah, Nigeria against Argentina, there were a lot of hopes and people were very excited about the game. We got there and the game started on a very good stead. Then all of a sudden, the Argentines took over the game and it continued. At the end of the first half, the ball possession, I stand to be corrected, is about 64-34. Now, I observe a lot of things, because the Argentines actually did not come to win. They were saving their legs for the quarterfinals, second round, quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. Of course, they're one of the favorites. And the Nigerians, of course, had everything to lose. But because of the game we had a good game against, or we beat Bosnia, we just needed a draw, kind of. The worst case scenario, we needed a draw. But so we continued, and at the end of the day, what I saw was not a good display of football artistry, because things that were meant to be done were not done. And I was fortunate to be sitting with about three former coaches of the Super Eagles. I was Fani Amu, Shaibu Amudu, and Siasia. And they all had their opinions about what would have taken place in that game, because you see, I feel very pained and indeed very livid that Nigerians are not very content with the fact that we did try. 170 million.
Try.
170 million Nigerians.
True?
No, we have become complacent. Almost my 2 decades as a sports administrator, we've always been living in that at the try, mentality, which is very wrong. We should be very ambitious, spiced with action, spiced with very scientific action, because football has gone scientific. I'm telling you, football has gone scientific. When the World Cup started, you can imagine they were using just 2, 3, 4 cameras. But today they have over 300 cameras doing production for a World Cup game, including a chopper that has 4 cameras. So if they are trying to make the game tick from off the field, on the field, you should imagine what is going on. Now, I had a conversation with one of the backroom staff of the US team, and he told me that Betty Vogts, who was also a coach to Jürgen Klinsmann, heads a consortium of coaches from the US. And now, because as a coach, when you're watching a game, your focus is just to win. Your focus, you don't want your key player red-carded because of the next game. You want to win. You just want to win. So you're not seeing what other people are seeing. So based on that, they came with a consortium. So when Ghana equalized, a call went through to Betty Vogts to give Jürgen Klinsmann 5 minutes analysis of the Ghanaian team. And of course, he came up with the fact that the guy playing right fullback was limping. He packed on him, and you get your goal, and that's what they did. Now, I'm telling you, so that's the science of football. I was privileged to watch Holland and Chile. When these two teams came out, lo and behold, there were two coaches, when they came out for their pre-match warm-up, there were two coaches assigned to the defense team, two coaches assigned to the midfield, two coaches assigned to the attack, then two coaches to the goalkeepers. They had about 10 minutes to warm up. And you could see exactly what they were doing. When the Nigerian team came out, in all the matches I watched, nobody. They came out, they were just doing their own warm-up, maybe it's their own style of play. But I felt it because there you will just see that they were supposed to be putting finishing touches to what they were meant to do when they start the game. So if you look at it, football has evolved scientifically. And if Nigeria, as a country, if we do what other countries are doing, the kind of talent we have in this country, every state in Nigeria can produce Super Eagles. Every state. We can have 36 Super Eagles in Nigeria because of the abundance of talent we have in this state. If we do it right, get it right, do what I think, what are those coaches? What are someone like Chaibu Amodo, Sani Amu, I saw Bitro Dewarang, I saw those coaches, they were all there. All these are people, whether you like it or not, they are eggs in their own right. And it's not all coaches that are very good tactically. There are some that preaches football that knows, oh, for example, when we were playing against Argentina, I had a conversation with Amodu. And the only thing he said we needed a very tactical deep field midfielder to just tactically take the ball off Messi, take the ball off him. If you do it once, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, he becomes frustrated. He will now move to another position, you follow him, and that's the end of his game. And that's why you see in some games, you look at teams, they become inadequate. Look at some very, very solid players. They become immediately inadequate when pressure is put on them. You don't see them. That's why, like I keep saying, they disappear from the game.
Okay, let me very quickly move on to Rotimi then. What's your own analysis of that game?
I think it was a fair game. Yes, a lot of Nigerians were okay with the result. But, I mean, we lost. It was a good loss.
They weren't just okay. They were celebrating.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We lost. It was a good loss because it actually ended as a second-round spot for the first time in 16 years. And you want to say that's a good pat on the back for the coaching crew and the players. But on the field of play, just as is mentioned earlier, it wasn't something really, really convincing. Mikel Obi, who is dubbed as our best player, was anonymous in that game, throughout that game. Thank God for the Ogenyon Nazis who actually raised their game in the second half. I mean, she mentioned Messi going off the field, and then we actually came on, to display what we actually had in our arsenal. And that's what we saw on the night. From the defense, Omero and Yobo, yes, covered themselves in glory to an extent. But if you give so much respect to Argentine players, you had the Di Maria, Lavezzi, Konaguero, Lionel Messi. Yes, that's enough to make you jittery. But if you have players that we can go on and do this, it's just football. We have a lot of coaches that do what you call a classroom style of coaching. They tell you, they write it down. This is Messi. This is the formula of you tracking him and getting him not to play football. In the game again between Holland and Spain, we saw all the Spanish players were outplayed by the likes of Danny Blind, Depay. Who are these guys? From Dutch.
But Rotimi, we have had some celebrated players as well.
Yeah.
Have any teams played us who have been in awe of our celebrated
Probably
players?
when we had a JJ Okocha, for instance.
A
Kanu Nwankwo.
Were they in awe of them, obviously? Because this was kind of obvious.
For a JJ Okocha, yes, if you're playing a player that has won the Ballon d'Or for about 4 or 5 times, you have to be in awe. But that's where, the work of a coach, the work of a psychologist, the work of the technical crew comes in. These are players, 2 hands, 2 legs, 1 head, just as you.
Just like
Go
you.
on. This is how I want you to. We've seen pretty football. Look at the Liverpool squad, for example. Most of their players came to the World Cup. And you saw the way they were dealt with by a Costa Rican side, an Uruguayan side, even an Italian side.
Tiny Costa Rica.
Tiny Costa Rica. An Uruguayan side, an Italian side who had elders, in quotes, in their teams. Took away the likes of Story, the likes of Lance Sterling and all that. So it boils down to the scientific part. Let me just, use this word, what the coaches needed to do. Because in the game against Iran, I was asking myself, what have we been doing in training? Very simple question. I'm still looking for answers.
Okay, let me ask Nnamdi then. Based on what they've said, I'd like you to focus on how did we manage to lose that game when Messi hit us with one, Musa did it. Messi hit us with two, Musa
did it.
and what I said on Twitter that day while I was watching that game is what Messi can do, Musa can do equally well. And he hit, and it was always a case of within 2 minutes of him hitting us, we got it back. But Messi went out, and we still conceded one more goal to make us lose that game. How did we lose?
I was really hoping to play devil's advocate and at least counter what they're saying.
Okay, do that very quickly and then answer the question.
It's almost impossible to do that. I have to agree with them. The reason why we couldn't win that game was very, very easy, and it's tactical deficiency. He mentioned something. What do we do in training when we're playing Iran? We can't defend set pieces. We can't use set pieces. And with a team that has big, tall, strong guys, you should be able to use your set pieces. Load the box. You're playing a corner. You're playing a free kick. Make your opponents afraid of you. Who is picking up who? You're playing Lionel Messi. There's no need to be in awe. It's a simple tactic that you learn even at basic coaching level. One man track him, one man watch him. That's all. You close down the space, he can't operate. And like he rightly said, he'll have to change his pattern. And once that happens, you have affected the pattern of your opposition. You now dictate the tune. Unfortunately, Nigeria cannot do that. All credit to Keshi. He's a great motivator, a great manager of men. He's a leader. He has always had those qualities. But the truth is, in the modern game, as much as you need to be a leader, you also need to understand the science of football, because people will set out all sorts of funny formations against you. The moment any player who sets out and sees Higuain, Messi, Kun Aguero, Di Maria at the same time, is going to be very, very scared. I mean, this is probably one of the worst case scenarios for any defender. And as a coach, you have to know how to set your line out. Mikel Obi has been a non-event for one simple reason, and I fault Keshi on this. We played the Nations Cup where we played a 4-3-3. Mikel Obi always had mobile midfielders with him. Yeah. But we've dropped Ogo, we've dropped Umba, we've dropped Igebo. These were all the guys who, playing with Onazi, formed a two-man wall for the defense that allowed Mikel to move to where he wanted to throw his passes. But now you have Mikel lying very deeply, not sure if he's shielding the defense or if he's joining the attack. And so everybody has dominated our midfield. Even Iran used one man, Dijaga, to dominate our midfield. We couldn't outplay one man who plays for Fulham. He doesn't even play for a top European side. They got relegated. We couldn't dominate him. When we now met Argentina, they placed two defensive midfielders for us, Gago and Mascherano. We couldn't do anything. They had only two defensive midfielders and put 4 men in the attack, and we couldn't do anything about it. They also dominated us in the midfield. And now we have to face France that have Matuidi and Pogba, who are probably two of the most vibrant, young, and mobile midfielders.
Very energetic guys.
Luckily for us,
pace as well.
They do. France is there for the taking. But does Nigeria have the tactical discipline to take it? We saw France play Ecuador. Ecuador frustrated them. You know, they missed a few chances, and then the inexperience came out. The same Pogba, Valbuena, the same Sako, Sissoko, they all started shooting wildly. The same people, because they started trying too hard. The experience of Ribéry is not there. The guile of Nasri is not there. There are loopholes to be exploited. But do we have that tactical discipline? Sadly, we don't. We have motivation. The problem with being motivated is that once you concede a goal and your heads drop, you have nothing to offer again. Suddenly you become a punching bag for the opposition. We've been lucky so far. I hate to use that word. And we're fortunate to have a world-class player in our side, and that's Enyama. So apart from that, we really have not been able to, conjure up anything that can make anybody be afraid of us. Like you rightly said, there is no pattern. And probably that has worked to advantage sometimes. You want to study Nigeria, there's nothing to study. You have just 11 men playing the ball around. It's almost like when we used to play what we call sets in those days. You pick yourselves and play because you know how he runs, you know where to drop the ball. Yeah. You know, I see Onazi taking a lot of shots, and I would have thought by now you would have a coach who is sitting with him, making him take 10, 20 shots a day, get your shooting accuracy. We don't seem to have, like he said, a robust coaching staff. We don't, and we need that. The solution, however, to all our problems, I think, is to leave Keshi on the job. I think Nigeria's problem has been the fact that we've not allowed local coaches to excel. It's an aspiration thing. You have young black boys in America who only wanted to be basketball players or rappers now wanting to be presidents because they have the Obama role model. If you want Nigerian coaches to develop, the same thing has to happen. There has to be a Nigerian coach to look up to. If we leave Keshi on the job long enough, he'll get the experience he needs to increase his tactical arsenal.
Okay, Amaju, let's look at the next match, which is on Monday. We're playing France. What do you think Keshi should do, at least to give us a chance? Because from what, I'm reading between the lines of what the three of you have said. It's like, against France, we don't have a chance.
Yeah, I think.
Can I just add to that you sat with a number of
Coaches.
Nigerian coaches.
Yes.
What is it they're doing to filter messages across to Keshi, or is it that he's not listening?
Yeah, first I can tell you.
Please go on.
I can tell you 100% that they don't have any formal relationship, between those consortium of coaches. The NFF meant well when they lifted all those coaches, including Kano Wanko. So